Welcome back to Factorio, building the Hyperbase. So, yes, we're sitting back in the starter base at the moment. Let me show you what I did between episodes. If we come down over here, you'll get a better view of it. Basically, I have filled out a whole bunch of this rail. That's what most of this actually is. If we zoom in far enough, you can see. And so this is the bit that we built last episode. Two of our red and green builds of the 5 that we need for a rocket control unit. Remember, this entire thing here is solely for rocket control unit for our 8 satellites, or our 8 rockets per minute part of the build, which is kind of round the wrong way maybe. Most people start with red and then they go green like we have in the past, but I'm doing this first so that we can use the circuits to make modules to help build the whole thing. So the next step on this is either to move on to the blue circuits plus the level 1 speed modules plus the actual rocket control units themselves, which are modules that sit basically just below here, assuming I can work out just how much gap to leave, because the idea with this is that it crosses as little as possible. So copper is the return on the inside lane, coming back up into the copper. Iron is the next return out, that comes back into the iron, and then there's a plastic that I'm not 100% sure where it's going to go yet. It could go through here, I could shorten that, it could go through here, up here, round, out, and out, and if it did that it wouldn't cross anywhere, or I could have it just come straight up and straight across and just give it priority, which I'm kind of thinking I will do. What do I mean by priority? Well, I will basically, as it comes close, it will trigger a signal, and when it triggers that signal, it will change the signals on here so that these trains have to stop, and then it will go straight through. It'll still have signals, so it'll be possible still to stop if it has to, but it will basically be forcing the signals here to stop and carry on through. So yeah, we need to build the blue, but before we do that, we probably actually need to build oil, and I have noticed that we have this fairly huge patch here directly above where we have built for the starter base. We have a 90 there. We actually have this 93 out here, so I might just use the 93, assuming that when I kind of jog over here to uncover stuff we don't find any more oil, because there could easily be another patch here, for example, I don't know. Although I did have a glance to make sure that we had big patches and noticed that we had all this copper and slightly less iron. I didn't actually specifically go, oh look, there's this oil and this oil and this oil. So I don't actually know at this point where anything else is really. The solar's built on quite nicely, but we're in the starter base because I've been noticing, well, for one thing, the green circuits come out, they're not fully compressed, and of course it just gets worse as they come down. And in particular, for example, the solar panels here are not, well, it's struggling to get to the end machine, shall we say, in a consistent sort of way. And also red circuits, well, actually blue is looking a little bit weak just at the moment. I wonder if, no, that looks fine. Oh, it's just being filled up. I wonder if it actually had gotten a little short. We possibly need to enlarge the blue circuits though, which would make the situation here worse. The train is actually, it's actually out right now, is actually building this now probably at a fast enough rate. Here it comes in again for more, which should mean that this will trigger up to its 6. There you go. That triggers our clock. When the clock gets to the right point, it will then create a new zone here and probably build out another 5 or so before having to go back for more. Excuse me. Working like a charm. Anyway. Yes. So what I'm trying to say is, I've come far too far. What I'm trying to say is, I think what we'll do is we're going to build out the green circuits first, and then the red. This looks like a weaker flow of blue than we're used to, which I don't actually understand. These are all assembly machine 2s. I'm thinking I might actually upgrade them to 3s just to speed this up a little bit, and then maybe even push them out a little bit further, because that is a major requirement of modules that is holding us up. If you can, I mean, this is capped, so that's why it's not moving, but this one is basically not capped because we need a lot of them. I'm going to have to undo that cap actually as well. So that's a very long-winded way of saying I need some equipment to do another section of green circuits. Basically we'll slap down another one of these until such point as we can't really go any further, either because these lines start getting thin, or this is a fully compressed belt. Now, I'm just wondering if I still have my green circuit. Build, but it doesn't look like I do. We are going to need some assembly 2 machines. I guess there's 2 ways I could upgrade it. I could upgrade it into a bunch of assembly 3 machines, or I can just let's read circuits. Or I can just extend the blue further. So I think I'll extend the blue further. We'll use our upgrade tool to upgrade these guys. And then I can probably just copy do I really not have... I must have decided I wasn't going to upgrade it any further. Alright, we'll just do a new blueprint of it then. need to assume that we want to rip out all of that. That's basically where we want this. Am I short anything? Hard to say. Let's just run up here and connect these lines up. Ooh. That can't be good. Down here as well. Not that I really need to keep connecting this one. In fact, I probably shouldn't. Okay, let's see if that's made a difference. Well, it doesn't look like it's fully compressed yet. Has it been long enough? It's close-ish, but I think we can go one more. I particularly want to see how it's doing here. Yeah, I don't think there's anything I can do about this flow. We don't have the ability to make blue belts especially, but based on that I think we can definitely do another. Be a little bit more careful with how much I take out this time. Side appears to have worked pretty much perfectly. Maybe I have actually run out of the yellow belt altogether. Let's just connect up this bit. And I'll just run back to make everything and grab a little bit more of the yellow belt. Fill that bit out. It doesn't look like we are quite compacted yet. we're missing some underground as well. Some yellow underground. There we go, action now at last. Does look like this iron up here now is actually fully not really able to deal with the situation. There shouldn't really be any coming through up here. At that point, which probably means that we want to do that down here as well. Maybe that just means that we need to enhance all of this to red belt. Even though it's only that distance, and all it really does is spread this out. That's normal transport belt as well, though. So if this was red belt, it would have a little bit more weight to it. Down here. It has gotten very one-sided. I wonder if maybe what we need to do is actually slap in a balancing mechanism. Is that making any difference? Not really, because we don't have one of these further along. That actually is probably what the issue is. So it's basically every 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. About here, we actually want to rebalance again. And that looks a little bit better. Alright. So that means we want to do the same thing down here. around. For whatever reason I had at the time, so I guess we can do that again. Oh. And I guess I could put in a rebalancer here as well. You can see the immediate effect. It's putting a whole lot down here, which is kind of what was intended. Anyway, green circuits is now coming out fairly close to compact. It's not quite, but it is pretty close, so I might just leave that at this point, especially since we're mucking around with sort of low volume stuff. It does look like this is now all the way down, which is what we wanted. Is red any better? Maybe red is better, it's hard to say. But I'm going to leave that now, because what I want to do in actual fact this episode is come on out to here. I think I'm going to extend this line just to help me access this point, or at least I'm going to drive to this point, and we'll try and exploit this. I've basically calculated that we need about 75 refineries. Which is mainly for the plastic. The plastic is our biggest issue, so we'll be making... Oh, that didn't quite work to my liking. Okay, let's just get rid of them here. I will have some use for those in the future, but... Oh, copper. Do I have any machines here that use copper? I should have just dumped them into the green circuits machines. There. And now I've got some iron. Way to get rid of it. So yes, I also created this little thing here to build the 75 that I need. Now again, this is just for oil for the launches, the rockets. It's not for the rest of the science. We will need beacons. Let me just get a handful. We will need to get pump jacks. I already have some, I think. Or maybe not. Maybe I will... Oh, that should be at least 10. Yeah, because they stack to 10. Maybe I'll just tell it to give me 10 pump jacks. 20 pump jacks, because that's a stack. And we will need a bunch of pipe. Do I have any chemical machines? No. They stack in 10s as well, which is a little bit low for my liking. some reason there aren't enough anyway. Let's get some power. Yeah, what are we doing with chemicals? Oh, alright. Let's make this. If chem plants are less than, say, 100, and then we can get rid of that nonsense. So that will take a while. So I guess instead of that, we could boost our beacons up to 100. Now we need pipes. Don't actually know if I have room for all of those, but let's ask for them anyway. Right, I must be making them now. Oh, chem plants, here they come. Let's not worry about those. Let us head to oil. See what we can do. I might just get a, see how we're doing. 43,000 now solar panels, so that is about 2.5 gigawatts, I guess, in solar, which is fine, especially since I haven't had to lay a single one manually. I certainly appreciate that part of it. That's missing our stop kind of deliberately, so that will come to here and head down to this new patch. It's been uncovered due to our activity. Straight into this woodlands, it would seem, but fortunately the patch is not in there. So I'm not 100% sure how I want to orient the arrival and dispatch of our trains. I think what we'll do is if I use InfiniZoom to zoom out a little bit until I can see where that is, basically, and then get my length. It's getting very close to where that line is if it comes in here. So let's get out of InfiniZoom now. Or out of its extreme sort of range. The other way we could do it, I suppose, is if well, I'm basically looking at 5 rows of 15 refineries, let's put it that way. 5 rows of 15 refineries. What's down here? I don't think anything is down here. Down here, actually. Excuse me. Based on what InfiniZoom was revealing to us. But it's probably worth a little bit of a run around. So all of the space out this way is kind of free for oil, although we don't know what we want to do with this ore patch. So I could have plastic come through, well, all the oil products probably come through this way. So if we're going to have them come down, our pump jacks then should probably face down on the hole. And you needed 10 from the looks of things. Alright. It's amazing for a 93%. Not to mention 93% is fairly amazing for 93%. So I could have oil trains coming through in this kind of direction, and we could have or even they could be going sideways out this way. So there didn't seem to be anything out this way. And this terrain is probably perfect for... This is part of the reason why I set everything to sparse, so that we would have large areas to build on. Because we are going to need it. So... right. Let me clear these trees because they're annoying me. You can go down there. Auto trash. Trees, we don't want 100, we don't want any. What's all of this stuff? So, refineries then. How much space do I need? Let's just give it its formula. The back doesn't need any space. And what I really want to do is pretty much direct the petroleum gas to one side and the other two to the other side, so that I can completely process out as much as we're using on that side. We would definitely need at least 2 spaces for beacons on this side then. So that's as far as we can get them, but we could potentially put beacons hard up against this side. And on the other side, we probably need to leave a gap. So we might even need 2 gaps. I don't think this is tileable at the moment. Let me just see. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So if this one was being removed like so, it actually makes sense for these two to be removed like so, and for this one. Damn. It's kind of what I thought might happen. Like we have to have 2 come up here. I don't really like it. No, it's not going to get through, is it? Huh. Not quite sure how I am going to do this. That just seems like an excessive amount of pipes. But it does tile. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I probably shouldn't go too far without spelling out how these products get in here. I mean, the water should be easy enough. We should have water fill. I thought I had some water fill. Maybe I don't. I'm going to have to manually come in with the water fill probably. 15. These are sped up to 8.55 times. 15 would be using, yeah, it's using too much water. 50 water from one pump. I don't think one pump can do more than 1200. Oh, it's per 5 seconds though, so it's about 10 water per machine per second. It can do 1200 water a second. That's 85 by 15. It's only just not enough. 85 by 15 is 1275, so 2 pumps would actually be sufficient for the whole thing. We'd only need the last machine to have an extra pump, but we will need an extra pump for the water. Which means we could probably just have water come in at both ends. Rather than trying to place water fill at each point. And if that was the case, then something like this actually will work. Might just get rid of those. So that's 5. 5, 10, 15. Now, this is probably about the right length, if it ends up being the same length. Which is excellent. These are fully moduled, of course. I don't know why it doesn't like that one. I'm not actually even sure if this is the priority for now, but never mind. It's only a fairly small build. This is one of 5 of these that we will need though for the oil for launching our rockets. When looked at that way, the fairly excessive nature of it becomes a little bit more apparent. Yes, out of beacons. So on this side, we need to have this running into, I'll work out which way around these need to be soon, plastic machines. Question is, how well spaced are these? No. They're not well spaced at all. How many do we need for our I know 15 actually isn't enough for the volume of ore that we need to produce. We actually want what number was it? Oh, I've already erased it. Petroleum to plastic. I'll just count up the plastic. Alright, so we need 20,408 plastic for the LDS structures. The red circuits in the rocket control unit that are part of the blue circuits need 833. Oh, damn it. Silly calculator. 2408. 8330. And then for the speed module part of the rocket control unit, we need 40,821. Then inside the satellite, there's a little bit more. There's extra LDS 2858. Anyway, it comes to about 72,417. But to make the plastic, you need basically 20 for 2 or 10 for 1. So we multiply this number by 10, so it's 724,000 that we need, and the amount that comes out of this is, well, 724,000. This is plastic per minute. These machines, I've got 3 module slots, is it? Yeah, 3 module slots. When you've surrounded them in beacons and 3 modules, you get these characteristics: 8.1875 speed and 30 productivity. So if you're talking 724,000 a minute, This is 2 every second, so divide by 120 to get it down to, well, each machine can reduce that per minute. Divide it by 1.3 for the productivity modules, and divide it by 8.1875. That's telling me I need 566 machines, which seems excessive. Let's try that again. 724,000. Total petroleum required. We're using that's the petroleum required, right? So divide that by the fact that we're using 20 each time. We're using 20 every second, which is 1200 a minute, because that was a minute requirement, divided by 8.1875 and divide by 1.3 for the productivity. That's better. So we need about 57 of them. If we connect them like this, we'll only get 15, so that's obviously inadequate. We need to connect them a little bit more aggressively than that. Where are they? Here we go. So, 1, 2. How many of these can we get in a row then? I need some beacons. Oh well, let's borrow a couple. These pipes are going to get in the way, aren't they? Well, we might have to fit some of these guys around the fact of, you know, doing something like this. Where they have beacons at the side. Should be room for another one. Oh yeah, we need that further forward. At least one further forward, possibly even 2 further forward, in fact. Which actually has some value. can do something like that, but that would only be a row of 15, which I really don't like that much. 15 plus maybe another 15, which is only 30 when we needed 57, because they're getting spread out too far. Guys, I'm going to have a bit of a think about this, but the general idea is we'll be doing petroleum on one side, we'll be doing the rocket fuel and cracking of the heavy and the light on the other side, and this will lead to good things. So I'll leave you there, and I'll show you what I've come up with next episode. Thanks for joining me. See you next time. Bye bye for now.